Hi everybody, welcome to this object-oriented programming tutorial. We're going to be coding in Java, and today we're going to be looking at the concept of data hiding. To help us work with this concept, we're going to be working with the ambulance class. In fact, here is the current design of the ambulance class. As you can see, every ambulance will have three properties or attributes: a registration number, a mileage, and a capacity, which is the number of patients the ambulance can carry. And our constructor method takes two parameters, the registration number and the capacity, and it assigns the registration number parameter to the class's registration number property, which is up here, and it assigns the parameter capacity to the property, the class property, capacity, and it sets the class property mileage just to be 0. So this is the current design. So let's jump into our IDE and just look at a few issues with this way of designing classes in object-oriented programming. So in my IDE, I've already set up a project, the ambulance project, and I've started to design the ambulance class. Here it is. It's the same as we've just seen. Now that we've designed the ambulance class, let's go into a computer program, a different class, and let's construct an ambulance. So we're going to call the constructor method of the ambulance class. This is the constructor method here. And remember, the constructor method requires two pieces of data, a string and an integer. Okay, the registration and the capacity. So let's give it a string. The registration of this ambulance is AM1, and the capacity, this can take 3 sick people. So let's just check that our variable here, A, which is communicating with this ambulance object, is doing its work properly. System.out.println A dot, well, we want to access one of these three properties, capacity, mileage, or reg num. Let's look at the mileage. It should be 0. Let's run that and see if it works. Yay! Okay. Ooh, it's a double, is it? Oh, I've set it as a double. There you go, mileage is a double. Okay. Let's update the mileage. Let's just say it's now 30. And let's print out this again. And hopefully we will see the value 30. So it was 0 when we constructed it, but we've updated it, and now it's 30. Now then, this is a problem. Could we do this? Ooh. We don't ever really want that to happen. So let's just check if it did happen. Did Java or the program figure out that this is not really possible? A mileage can never be a negative number. But in this design, is it possible? Yes, it is. That is a problem. External classes can directly target properties inside our object and potentially, maybe through a mistake or maybe intentionally, assign invalid data to the properties. We don't want that to happen. So one strategy to stop this from happening is to hide the properties of a class from other classes. And the way to do that in Java is just to make each property private. Okay? Now if we go back to our main, this is called data hiding, by the way. Make the properties stored in a class or object private. Let's just run the program again. Whoa, now we've got lots of errors. Oh, ambulance.mileage is not visible. We can no longer mess around with the mileage. because the properties inside the object referenced by this variable a, the properties are now private. Mileage is private. We can no longer do this. Okay? However, as we continue to process this ambulance object, of course we want to update the mileage. Now we simply can't do it directly. So how can we do it? Well, this is the trick. In the ambulance class, we are going to design constructor methods, accessor methods for each of the class properties, regnum, mileage, and capacity. So let's make some methods to make this happen. Public string get regnum, this is the name that I'm going to give this method. It doesn't take any parameters, but it returns this .regnum. We'll do another accessor method for the, what was the other property? The mileage. Remember, mileage is a double, so this method needs to return a double. Public double get mileage. And we're going to return this dot mileage. And we'll do one more accessor method for the third property, which was the capacity, which is an integer. So this method will return an integer. Public int get capacity. And we're going to return this dot capacity. Notice that these accessor methods, from a naming convention point of view, usually start with the word get. 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 So these are often called get methods or getters. Okay, it's the same thing. But these are our accessor or get methods. Now let's go back to our computer program. I'm no longer going to inspect the mileage property of my ambulance object referenced with this variable a here. I can't do that directly. What I need to do is call the method get mileage. Just call the method instead. Okay, so let's get rid of all this and just see if this line of code works. Yay, it worked. Okay. Now I want to change the mileage. I want to say a.mileage equals 30, like I did before. I can't do that because this is private. This property, this ambulance property is private. So I need to make some more methods. I need to design some mutator methods. Mutator means to change. So let's just make a mutator method for, I'm not going to change the regnum. The regnum is always going to stay the same. So I'm not going to make a mutator method for this property. I am going to make a mutator method for the mileage property. Now my mutator method isn't going to return anything, but I'm going to change or set the mileage value to a different value. The way that I'm going to do that is through a parameter. I'm just going to call it new mileage. So when I call this method from another class, I want to give it a value, and this value will become the mileage property's new value. Okay. So the property up here, this property here, will be updated. It will get a new value. Okay, so this is the set mileage mutator method. Mutator methods usually start with the word set, so we often call them set methods. It's the same thing. And in this example, there is a parameter. So let's go back to my main function, and let's not do this. Let's not call the mileage property directly. Let's call the set mileage method of the ambulance class. And remember, there is a parameter here, which is a number, so I'm just going to put that 30 in there. Ooh. And now that we've changed the mileage of the ambulance, let's go and get it again. Okay, so change it, and then inspect it and just see if the change happened as you wanted. Yay! Okay, brilliant. Now, is this still possible? This is still possible. That's annoying. Oh, wait a minute. Because we're using a method to update the mileage, we can include a bit of logic here. If this parameter, new mileage, is greater than 0, greater than or equal to 0, let's use that logic. If that's true, then we will change. Yay! And just to explain how this is doing, let's just put in a little else statement here. We don't have to use else, but I'm just going to do it here. System.out.print. Invalid mileage. Okay. So actually I can, because I'm using a method to control the mileage property, I can start using logic, which is very useful. So let's just run the program again. Invalid mileage. When I called the set mileage method, it said, okay, invalid. And when we inspect the mileage, it's still 0. It didn't change to -30. Very, very useful. Of course, I'm just going to cover one more thing. When we're updating the mileage, we could, of course, add the new mileage to the current mileage. That might be a more logical way of updating the mileage. Okay? So this strategy of making class properties private, this is called data hiding. And to access those properties, we need to design some methods, maybe some accessor and mutator methods. This strategy as a whole is called encapsulation. And encapsulation involves hiding data in a class or an object and only allowing access to that data through methods.